Oh, we're desperately behind. Or heinously behind in this hour, brought to you by our friends at Laborers Local 663. So with that, we start our next interview with apologies. Apologies to Sean Keeley for making you sitting here waiting 10 minutes after I told you you were going to be on the show today. But Sean, thanks so much for hopping on with us.
I'm always happy to make time for you.
Yes, I'm sure you'll be one and done here after we made you wait for a comically long amount of time. But here's why I wanted to have you on. Sean, for those that don't know, and how could you not, Sean was the founder of Noon's Magician many moons ago. Now he does a bunch of stuff for Awful Announcing. You talked to Jim Boeheim the other day. We had him on Orange Nation earlier today. Like, he's always a fascinating guy, right? But I feel like he's a total open book right now in retirement. He's telling you everything you want to know. It was a great read the other day.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it was actually the first time I'd ever actually spoken with him, which is kind of wild. I started Noons 19 years ago, and I did that for 10 years. Wow. So yeah, no, it was real easy to get him to chat, and very open, very very quick to correct me on anything that he didn't think was the correct framing of what he had said. So that was fun. I got a little bit of the Jim Boeheim experience. I didn't get told off. I don't have that great story yet, but no, it was a great start to that.
Well, hey, you can't criticize his coaching anymore, I guess, since that doesn't happen. But I think most of what, for those that haven't read it, most of what Sean talked to Jim about was his time in the broadcast booth this year and working for ESPN. I thought Jim was, I thought he was exactly what I thought he was going to be for those that have followed him a long time in Syracuse. What did you make of Jim Boeheim, the broadcaster, this year?
Yeah, and you've already you said Jim Boeheim, the broadcaster. I framed the question as what's it like to be in the media, and he was very quick to point out that he is not a member of the media, so I think and that was on the heels of him saying that, clarifying that he did not feel that he had a challenging relationship with the media when he was head coach. So I felt like it was classic Boeheim, just from the different side of, and of course he doesn't consider himself media doing games. It's, he's made a very clear delineation in his mind of what that means. But it sounds like he's really enjoying it. I think he's got, it seems like it's a good schedule for him, kind of splitting his time between TV and radio. Sounds like he's not really looking to bump up his schedule that much next year. He doesn't know yet what that's going to look like, but by all accounts, it sounds like he's having a great time.
Yeah, and I agree with him. He said to you and to other people that he'll do the studio stuff because it's part of the gig, but the games, the games are where I was at, and I think that really let him spread his wings a lot more. And he was with our guy Wes Durham a lot, who's one of the best to be with for stuff like that. But I just find it fascinating, this whole Jim. The media thing is just funny, right? Because I hate to break it to you, Jim, you are in the media. You work for ESPN. What he is not, he's not a reporter. I think that's maybe where he's going. He doesn't need to do stuff like that. But us in Syracuse and people that have covered the team forever, like, you see all these press conferences, you know exactly who you are. Like, people out there, they know the clips of Jim Boeheim when he's losing it on somebody, or 10 bleeping games or whatever. I think it's been interesting to watch fans of other teams either hate or find out they don't hate the Jim Boeheim game calling experience.
Yeah, well, that was always the thing with him, that I would field those questions all the time of, what's it like to root for Jim Boeheim? Like, how can you do it? And it's like, well, you're getting the extremes, and you're getting the sound bites, and yeah, he has that aspect to his personality for sure. But he was so much more well-rounded when you actually follow him, as I'm sure following him day to day. Very smart, very. Obviously a basketball genius. And I always found him to be somebody who was so much more personable and, kind of aware of what was happening around him, much more so than he tended to let on or wanted people to think. And so, no, I think it's nice that people are getting to listen to him and be like, all right, this is somebody who understands the game probably as well as just about anybody out there. And, and then, NC State fans, got their chance to reacquaint themselves with him in a certain way. And that seems to be paying off for them.
Yeah, apparently, Jim, who knew? He's motivated NC State all the way from the Tuesday of the ACC tournament into the Sweet 16 today. It's hard to accomplish that when you're just on TV for a halftime segment, but he sure did pull it off. As we got Sean Keeley here from Awful Announcing, you'll certainly remember him from being the guy that started up Noon's Magician. Hard to believe that's 20 years ago now. I don't know about you, Sean. Yeah, that's making me feel immediately old. Yeah, I don't like that at all. But here we are. While we got you, I want to get you just some general Syracuse thoughts, because I know even though you're across the country, you still pay close attention to all this stuff. What did you make of this first post-Jim Boeheim basketball season with Red?
Well, I mean, short of, we all obviously would love to see the program, have this miracle turnaround and, get back to making it to Final Fours and all that stuff. But within the context of, where the program was at and where everything else is, I think a 20-win season is a really great thing to hang your hat on. I think, especially, with a lot of the stuff that was happening with Benny and injuries and other things that came up. And so I think you take a 20-win, first season and you run with it. And, the expectations, I think, will be a little bit higher moving forward. But all to me, for watching from afar, every time I would check in with Syracuse basketball, you had some of the growing pains that are inevitable, but I think everybody should be pretty happy with at least the direction things are going.
Yeah, I think, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes, but I agree with your sentiments on that. And, going back to when you started Noons, like at the beginning of those days, that was, I think a lot of what got people in to follow you at the time was just you tracking the horrendousness that was the Greg Robinson era, just like able to document the lows of the lows at this time. Well, what is it like for you to see now, like considering where that started, to see this off-season excitement around what is going on with Fran Brown right now?
Yeah, no, I mean, that was kind of the thing that really got the site going, was the communal misery of Syracuse football fans as we gathered together to try to make sense of what was happening. And, it's been a pretty wild ride since then. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. But no, I think it's super exciting. As soon as I learned, Fran Brown was going to be hired as the coach, I thought, this is exactly who Syracuse needs. He's young in terms of, football coaches. He's, got a really fresh perspective, recruiting whiz. It just seems like exactly the kind of person you want in the room, to kind of build the program back up. And, Syracuse football is such it's unique in the fact that you're kind of always at the mercy of college football at large. And, when it comes to coaches, I think we're always, 2 or 3 years away from wondering, if this guy does really well, he's probably going to leave. Or if he doesn't do very well, are we just going to fire him and start over? And so, it's a tricky thing to be a Syracuse football fan, but I think, right now in this moment, I think it's, time to be excited about the possibilities of, what Fran Brown can accomplish here.
The Dino Babers era took us through all of those emotions in a very short period of time. Go figure, back and forth, the ups and downs with 2018, and then the years that certainly followed that. Sean Keeley is with us, now of Awful Announcing, previously of Noon's Magician, of course. What else you got in the works here, Sean, at Awful Announcing? What should we look for you coming up here in the coming days and weeks?
Well, we for anybody who doesn't know, Awful Announcing, we cover sports media at large, and so we're with March Madness, we're doing a lot of stuff around the announcers there, and keeping a close eye on what Ian Eagle and Andrew Catalan's calls and all that stuff. But we've got some really good pieces. Otherwise, in general, you put me on the spot, so I can't think of them offhand, but. it's kind of a crazy time in the world of sports media because you've got NBA media rights coming up, all the streaming services, NFL games, exclusive on Peacock, and a lot of people are angry about that. And meanwhile, we've done some pretty extensive coverage on Caitlin Clark and the women's tournament because the ratings over there, the Syracuse team played a part in that too. Of March Madness for the women has really been a big deal. So it was nice to do a little bit of Syracuse stuff. I feel like as a sports media site, we're doing a disservice if we're not doing a little bit of Syracuse with the amount of people who work in the industry every so often. So just happy to kind of do my part over there.
Well, yeah, you'll get Ian and Cattle on tonight. We had Andrew on last week, and Ian will be called his first Final Four coming up next week. They got the games tonight. I'm sure one of them's going to give you something to go off of tonight. That kind of goes with Ian and Raf together. They'll give you something before the first media timeout tonight, depending on what they got up their sleeves. I can tie this all together for you, Sean, because Jim, when he was on Boeheim, when he was on Orange Nation earlier today, he said he's actually going to Albany tomorrow. He's got tickets for the Caitlin Clark game. So somehow all of your worlds may collide tomorrow. You might get to see Boeheim on TV at the Caitlin Clark game in Albany tomorrow.
Perfect. And what we're all really waiting for in the sports media world, speaking of the women's tournament, because if Iowa wins, then they play LSU. And you've got that Kim Mulkey Washington Post article that she has hyped up immensely. Now everybody's so excited to read that. So we're keeping our eyes out for that.
Yeah, you got any insight? When the heck is this article coming out? Like, I've been waiting now a week to read this thing, and where's the article? Like, now I want. Like, Kim's done so many crazy things over the years. I can't even imagine what's possibly in this article that's freaking her out so much.
I know. Well, we assumed it was going to be today because on the off chance that LSU loses this weekend, but maybe they're banking on the hype around LSU Iowa on Monday, and maybe they'll put it out then.
Yeah, maybe. LSU's got a tough game tomorrow with UCLA, so hopefully that doesn't screw up the whole thing. I need Mulkey near an official NCAA tournament press conference when the article drops to get full effect of all this stuff. All right, Sean, great to chat. I'm sure we'll do it again soon, but thanks for hopping on for a few today.
You got it. Take care.
All right, there he goes, Sean Keeley of Awful Announcing. You all know him out there, whether you think you do or not. You know him from the Noon's Magician days going back, good God, 20 years ago now, 19 years ago.